Alright, I've got a functioning demo of the Symbio 700. This is the new Odyssey product that's out there for Trane and American Standard split systems. So this is an outdoor unit. You can see the two boards here for the outdoor portion. High voltage is going to be behind this panel, and then this is the air handler. So pretend there is a wall or something dividing this here, but basically I have both units side by side. You open up this panel, you've got the contactor. You'd put your contactor for your heat kit and everything else in here. So air handler, outdoor unit. What I want to do is kind of just go over a little bit of the function and wiring on this. Help you guys when you're out in the field with configuring and maybe even doing some troubleshooting, make it a little bit easier on you. So Symbio 700 board, this is the main board. It'll come with every outdoor unit, along with the adapter board here. This is the brain. You've got your keypad navigation. You can go through there, adjust, configure, check fault codes and whatnot. Just like I have this red LED indicator right now that's telling me I have a fault. I know what that fault is. It's the IMC that's not connected right now because there's no wires connected to it. So that'll go away once we finally hook up the wiring to it. IMC is for inter-module communication. It's how it talks basically. Left hand side of the board, we've got our pressure switches, low pressure, high pressure. Actually just low pressure here, my mistake. Outdoor temp sensors. We've got phase monitors, IMC connections, USB ports. This is the 24 volt power that feeds this board coming off your transformer. So if you want to do a soft reset on it, what I find is easier to do is just to unplug this. You lose all power, and then you can power it back up by plugging it in. Might be easier doing this than it is to kill a disconnect. So you can see the unit booting up now. And then these are all our outputs. So what's nice about this is you have all these relays. The black boxes are relays, and they have LEDs next to them. You can't see them right now because it's not calling for them. But once you do get a signal for fan or Y1, Y2, or solenoid, you'll get an LED next to those relays telling you that it's sending a call for that particular component to come on. So that's nice. And then let's get into the wiring. So we know that our source power comes into here. This is going to be our connector for our traditional thermostat, 24 volt thermostat. If you were using a zone sensor, you'd wire it up to here. If you're using any type of emergency stop, you'd wire it into here. You'd have to activate it on your app, which I'll go over in a different video. And remember that this is designed to, it's normally open, so in order to activate, it has to close. So you have a close signal across those two pins. But back to the thermostat. So I've labeled mine, make it a little bit easier for me whenever I'm hooking it up. So I just got a thermostat with a plug on it. What's nice about it is these plugs do come undone so that you can make your connections, wire it in, and look, we've got action now. So we got lights, thermostat's moving up. So that's the first part. I start with the thermostat, and remember that your thermostat is a home run all the way to your Symbio 700 outdoor board. You can pass it through the air handler if you want to, but you don't need to make any connections from the thermostat to the air handler. It all goes to the outdoor unit itself. So I've got red, Y1, which I ended up using brown for, G, W2, and then all the way over to the far right's common. So that's the first step. Second step is we need to hook up this adapter board. This is what sends the signal to the air handler for it to function, or it's the output signal for all sorts of other different components, everything on the outdoor unit that you have, fan out, compressor out, and so forth. So I've labeled the pins that we're going to end up using. Down here on the bottom left, this is going to be our G terminal on the J18 plug. Kind of see that labeled up there, J18. G is going to be for our fan, our blower. Over here to the right, you got 4 pins that'll connect to it. You got the first one, pin number 1 is going to be red, or 24 volt hot. Then you got common, and then next to that will be your twisted shielded pair. So I've got my plugs already kind of made up here. We'll plug this in over here. 4-pin connector. And so I've got 24 volt. The first pin is kind of twisted, so you can't really see it too good, but red on the first pin, blue on the second, and then I made a twisted bundle right here. You know, it's not perfect. This is not what you would want to use in the field, but just for visual purposes, this is twisted shielded. One thing to remember about the shielded wire is you don't want to ground it on the outdoor unit, you want to ground it on the air handler, so keep that in mind with your shielded bundle. At any rate, this is what's going to power up our air handler. If you don't have this red wire connected, it's not going to power it by low voltage. Our G signal goes into that J18 I told you about, pin number 1. Plug that in, and then the last wire that I have over here is this white wire that I use. This is for evaporator defrost. So this is an option. It comes with the frost step on the air handler, so why not? Let's hook it up. So it goes way over here to pin number 2 on that plug, J16. So if you count them, I've got a white wire, green wire, I've got my 24-volt hot and common, so 4 conductors there, and then the last is my twisted shielded that runs to the air handler. And this setup is used for whenever you have a Symbio indoor unit, Symbio outdoor unit. Doesn't matter if it's a 2 compressor, single compressor, as long as it's not VFD, this is the configuration that you're going to use. So 4 conductors plus 2 more on the twisted shielded pair. So if we follow this bundle I got, I just got it kind of passed around the back here. Again, I've already made up my connections, pre-made connections. Let's go over powering this up. So right here, J10 is the power to this relay board. This is what energizes all the, or sets the potential voltage there for the relays. So I'm gonna plug that in. Pin number 1's hot, pin number 2's common, and this is connected to my J15 plug right there. Basically, there's 2 wires, red and blue, end up coming to that red and blue there. Now if you notice, I've got 4 wires total under there, 2 conductors underneath each pin, and that is for this jumper wire. And this just runs from the J10 up here to the J4, where I have the R and C. So this wire, once you plug that in, it will light up my adapter board. If you're not, or I'm sorry, options module. If you're not using the options module, you don't need this jumper, and you don't need this twisted shielded pair. So once I plug this in, you'll see I'll start to get lights on my options module, and it's going to start talking. Now once that happens, if you remember, I had that fault light on my Symbio 700 board. We should have lost it now. So yes, it's back and talking again. My red LED has gone away, and I got my transmit and receive, so we're good to go. So this is again only used for options module, or if you have a VFD, you need to hook this up. And then the last 2 wires we need to do goes to this plug right here. So I've got my other plug made up, plug it in, and if you recall, my white wire I use for evaporator defrost, it goes to pin number 1, and pin number 4 is going to be for that blower signal. So you can see that now, G signal. And that is it. So we're hooked up and we can actually start running. If you come over here to the thermostat, let's put it into the fan on mode. And as I mentioned before, once you get a signal for it, you'll get an LED that'll light up. There we go, next to the G. So it's an indicator telling me that I'm calling for fan. And then if I were to come over here and look at my contactor for my blower, see it's pulled in. Fan is operating, or would be if there's a motor hooked up to it. So I'll remove the call from fan, and my LED should go away after the time delay. There we go. But that's it. So that's how you would set up, like I said, if it's a Symbio indoor unit, Symbio outdoor unit, 90% of the time this is going to be your wiring configuration. The white wire is optional for evaporator defrost. Remember, home run to from the thermostat to the J21 pin, and then you need these conductors going to the air handler along with your twisted shielded pair. So I'll make another video on setting up the configuration of this unit to kind of manipulate it, run it through test modes and everything else. So thank you, and look forward to more videos.